how has your view and feelings about the American people changed since the beginning of this war? On the one hand, the government is carrying out a ruthless campaign. And on the other hand, the American people seem to be overwhelmingly opposed to it.
We love American nation much more before the war because we have received lots of, good energy from the American people. But about the government, they are absolutely our enemies.
Oh, thank God. Thank God that they say that. Okay. So Drop Site News, Ryan Grimm, as you can see, wonderful reporter, and was able to have an interview with the creators behind Explosive Media. It's a team of Iranians who produce those Lego videos that you might have seen. I mean, how could you not see them? I mean, honestly, they're track slap. But several of those videos have gone supernova viral, right? So they're spreading, look, it is a form of propaganda that's been highly effective in a number of ways. Not only has it woken Americans up to certain ways that our government's lying to us about how this war is going, but it gives you a sense of how sophisticated the Iranians really are, right? I mean, I already knew that. I think most people who don't buy our government's propaganda already knew that. But if you do buy the propaganda that we hear from our government, you would think that, the Iranians are like, nation full of backward thinking, barbarians who have no culture, aren't intelligent, like just nonsense, absolute nonsense. And what these Lego videos have done, and we've talked about it before, is it's kind of given us a look into just how privy they are, just how aware they are of our own culture. So while a lot of Americans have been misled about the Iranians, the Iranian people, fact of the matter is they're very much aware of American culture, what's effective in communicating with us. And so these videos have been doing really, really well. So with that in mind, first of all, let me just say, I love the question that Ryan Grimm asked in the video you just watched, because that's something that I've been wondering about. When you look at how few Americans support the war against Iran, I don't want Iran to see the American people as their enemy. I don't want us to be hated globally based on the actions of our government. I know we live in a so-called democracy, but when you really think about it, our democracy has been degraded, debased to such an extent that you could literally have the majority of Americans disagreeing with this war against Iran, and our government does it anyway. What kind of democracy is that? And so it's a bit of a relief to hear that, at least as far as the creators behind Explosive Media go, they don't hate the American people, but they do see our government as an enemy. And considering what we've done to Iran, considering the opening salvo in our war against Iran was to bomb a little girl's elementary school, killing 168 children, 175 people total. How could you not see the American government, the US government, as an enemy? Imagine if some other country did that to us. Anyway, here's more from the anonymous video producer discussing the American reaction.
In one of your videos, you talk about we're getting the DMs. We're reading the DMs. We're not only fighting for Iran. We understand that your people are with us because we're getting the DMs. What kind of messages are you getting from Americans? And did it surprise you to get this much support from the American people?
The American people, we didn't expect that, but they, welcome us much more than our expectations. Many people there were ashamed of what their government and their military service done to us, and they say sorry. I can very well remember that one of our fans told us in America, told us that I am on fire of what's our government doing to you, and I'm so sorry.
That's really interesting. I've wondered about that. I'm actually going to skip ahead to H7. So can you guys cue that up while I kind of talk about why I want to play this video? So recently, Explosive Media reached out to me because they put out a video that was inspired by something I said about Lindsey Graham. And there was a collaboration request on Instagram that I didn't accept because I was terrified to accept it because our government is unhinged. And so if I accept that collaboration, are they going to think that I'm offering like material support to, a country we're at war with? I don't know. Trump is unhinged. And the fact that he was willing to jail green card holders because they protested Israel on college campuses scares the hell out of me. Because they'll use any justification to retaliate against you if you anger our dear leaders in Israel. So I rejected it, but I gotta say, I do love this video. So I'm gonna play it now, and then you'll see what inspired it. Take a look. I have an idea. Why don't we just like airdrop Lindsey Graham in the middle of Iran right now, or Lebanon? Why doesn't he fight Hezbollah himself? I'd love to see it. Right. So you can see they made a little Lego video of Lindsey Graham getting airdropped into Tehran, which I found amusing to say the least. But if you're not a public figure and you're sending a message to the fine people over at Explosive Media, that's totally fine. I don't think you're going to be a target. But public figures have to be careful, I think, because this government is definitely looking for ways to attack you and silence you at the behest of, Israel and its supporters here in the United States. It's absolutely sick. Now, prior to the war, Explosive Media produced videos about domestic issues in Iran. And here's more on the organization's relationship with the Iranian government, because that part is really important. It gives you a sense of what going to war actually does to the population that might not actually like the government, that might actually want regime change or reforms. But when you attack a country and its leaders, it has the opposite effect of what Trump thought it would have. Let's take a look.
Our audience before the war was internal audiences, our own people. And we talked about our internal issues to our people. And in one of our internal applications in Iran, we had about 9 million, 2 million audiences. What's that application? It's called Shad, means happy. We, like other citizens around the world, sometimes criticize our government. And we set some, points to improve the situation, and we deliver people's voices to them. And of course, it doesn't make any challenge, government and us. It doesn't make any challenge, and we had a peaceful relationship. What is the other media's relationship with their own government in all around the world? And even if we criticize the government, which we had, we are in the middle of the war. And in the middle of the war, we sacrifice ourselves for a government who is fighting for us. In a greater war, tiny criticism doesn't make sense.
So you guys get the picture, right? I mean, it just really goes to show you how devastatingly terrible the intel Israel gave Trump really was. Because remember what happened in the Situation Room days leading up to the US attacking Iran. Benjamin Netanyahu's there, the head of Mossad, David Barnea, is there. He joined remotely, he's on a screen. But they're like, yeah, man, just decapitate the regime. That will motivate those who want regime change in Iran to rise up and topple the regime. Duh, that's how it works, right? That's how it totally works. It doesn't work that way. I mean, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure this out. Just think about it in your own terms, in your own context. Attacking a country tends to convince people that they need to circle the wagons, that they need to rally in support of their country, because rather than seeing it as an internal battle, suddenly you have an outside attacker And you need to form alliances in order to fight back from that foreign attacker. That's what happened. So that's why you don't see people on the streets in Iran attempting to topple the regime. In fact, the people you do see on the streets in Iran are coming out in droves to show their support for the regime. And I've now seen several interviews of people who said that they were part of the January protests, but now they're out on the streets to show support toward the IRGC because of what the US and Israel has done to their country. You guys got to remember, I mean, we dropped tens of thousands of bombs on Iran in just a few short weeks. We targeted, World Heritage sites. We targeted their universities, their hospitals, just absolutely disgusting, depraved behavior, war crime on top of war crime. So yeah, that's going to have a rallying effect. That is what happened. Anyway, Grimm asked the video producer about Trump's claims that the Iranian people love being bombed by the United States. The video producer pointed to a bigger problem: the voices that the American media uses to represent the Iranian people. Can't wait to watch this. Take a look.
The American government said that it was going to go into Iran and bomb Iran to support protesters and to support critics of the government to kind of free the Iranian people. But the very people who they're trying to support with their bombing are making some of the most powerful videos against what the Americans are doing.
American mediums and medias have a capacity and ability to maximize the issues. They can show a minority of people as majority, and they can, put good inside bad and, upside down. And they can also create, media's movements, and that is what just a trick to the American people.
Yeah, that's something that we've been talking about on the show. I mean, you'll see people like Elika Laban just constantly on all these like international news shows as someone who CNN used that Israeli spy. What was her name again? Emily Schrader. By the way, I say she's an Israeli spy because she herself has disclosed that she works as an Israeli spy. She went on CNN and represented herself as the voice of the Iranian people. She's an Israeli who has been calling for the bombing of Iran for years now. She's married to an IDF agent, or she's engaged to an IDF agent. She lives in Israel. Like, who even are you? You're not a representative of the Iranian people. So that was like probably the most egregious example that you saw on CNN, on Jake Tapper's show. Jake Tapper, the same guy who goes after Drop Site News because he's jealous that they do actual journalism while he puts out propaganda on behalf of Israel, really. Propaganda that convinces Americans that maybe it's a good idea to go to war, a war that's going to destroy the global economy, a war that's going to slaughter innocent people, that kind of war. Jake Tapper is a disgrace. Let me just say that. But I think a more sophisticated attempt at propagandizing Americans and people in the UK into buying the notion that the Iranian people want to be bombed by the United States. Someone like Elika Laban. I'm an Iranian. No, you're not. You're a disgrace. You're not representative of the entirety of the Iranian people. And in fact, in the case of the United States, as soon as the war popped off, you have upward of 60% of Iranian Americans against the war. Leading up to the war, it was about 50-50. I'm sorry, actually the percentage was higher than that after the war. I can't remember the exact number. But my point is, you never heard from the Iranians who were against the war, even though about half of them were even before the war started. They didn't get any airtime. And that does beg the question, how exactly do people like Elika, get sold as a guest on these shows? Who promotes them? How do they get booked? We should be asking those questions. So anyway, I think it's important to understand what's actually happening with Iran's society, because we're only getting one side of the story right now. And I think it's really important to make note of our failures. So if we were attempting to empower the Iranian people, to liberate the Iranian people, this wasn't it. But that wasn't the point to begin with, was it?
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.